and behind me, in the reflection, stood another figure.
Turn around.
There was no one in the room, only the reflection. I never thought much about astral projection, those stories where people claim they floated outside their bodies while sleeping, seeing the world from above. I always chalked it up to lucid dreaming or an overactive imagination. But that changed during my second year of college. It had been a brutal week, back-to-back exams, paper deadlines, no real sleep. One night, around 2:30 a.m., I finally collapsed into bed in my tiny off-campus apartment. My roommate, Jess, was already asleep in her room down the hall. The building was old, drafty, and always too quiet. I remember shutting my eyes, and then when I woke up, at least, I thought I was awake. Something felt wrong. I wasn't in my bed anymore. I was hovering, maybe 5 feet above, staring down at myself. My body was there, motionless, eyes closed, mouth slightly open. But I felt detached and weightless, and my limbs didn't move, but I could look around freely. My bedroom looked the same, but felt wrong. The colors were muted, almost gray. Shadows pooled in the corners like thick smoke. And there was this, It was low like a bass you could feel in your teeth. I panicked. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I tried to reach for my body, but instead, my vision tilted. And suddenly, I was moving through the doorway, into the hallway, against my will. The hallway was longer than it should have been. I don't mean in memory, but physically. It was wrong. It stretched endlessly. The ceiling was too high. Doors warped like they'd melted at the edges. The hallway lights buzzed above me, flickering like they were struggling to stay alive. I floated toward Jess's room. Inside, she was asleep, but something was wrong with her too. She wasn't breathing. I could see her chest, not rising, not moving, just still. Her face was twisted like she was mid-scream. Her hands clutched the blanket like she'd been startled before freezing. I wanted to reach for her, shake her, wake her up, but I couldn't move. I couldn't touch anything. I could only watch. Then I felt something behind me. I didn't turn because I couldn't, but I knew it was there. A presence, cold, heavy, like standing too close to something ancient and buried. The whispering got louder. It wasn't in a language I recognized, just guttural murmurs overlapping, slithering through my skull like oil through cracks. And then I started moving again. Dragged backward, away from Jess's room, now back down the hallway. No control, no direction, just helpless motion. Then suddenly, snap. I was back in my bed, gasping, drenched in sweat. My heart was hammering against my ribs like it wanted out. My sheets were soaked. My limbs were stiff, like I'd been holding tension for hours. I bolted out of bed and sprinted to Jess's room. She was still asleep, now breathing, peacefully, like nothing had ever happened. For the next few days, I tried to rationalize it. Stress, exhaustion, sleep paralysis, a hyper-realistic dream. But it didn't stop. Every night after, I woke up at exactly 3:03 a.m. Not 3 a.m., not 3:05 a.m., always 3:03 a.m., and always with that same hum in my ears. Sometimes, I'd wake up standing by my door, with no memory of getting up. Other times, I'd find scratch marks on the inside of my window pane. I lived on the second floor. I had to stop sleeping and start researching. That's when I stumbled onto Reddit, specifically a thread called r/Astral Army. It was a rabbit hole. People in there talked like it was a club, a hidden one. They claimed they'd trained themselves to leave their bodies on command. Some said they traveled to distant countries, even other realms. But not all of them came back clean. One user posted something I'll never forget. If you don't protect yourself during projection, you can attract attention. Not all entities are passive. Some are hungry. Another person mentioned something called astral guards, beings that stand at the edge of thresholds. Their job is to block exits. Others warned about being followed back. And suddenly, everything clicked. The feeling I had, that I wasn't alone after returning, that weight in the hallway, the whispering in my ear. I had brought something back with me. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid, until I saw the footprints. Tiny black smudges on the floor of my room. Bare feet like ash or soot, leading from my bed to the closet, then vanishing. The closet door was cracked. That same night, I heard Jess scream. I ran into her room. She was awake, trembling. Said she felt something sit on her chest. Said she saw a shape in the corner of her room. I didn't tell her what I had been experiencing. I couldn't. The next morning, we both found marks. On the inside of our bedroom doors, 3 parallel scratches, just deep enough to dig through paint, like something clawed to get out or in. I tried sleeping in the living room after that, with lights on and the TV on low, but it didn't matter. At 3:03 a.m., I'd wake up paralyzed. That hum in my ears, that feeling of movement again, like something pulling me from my skin. It got worse. I started dreaming of an endless hallway, pulsing red like veins through a dying lung. And I was running. Always running. Behind me was something crawling fast, bone joints cracking, dragging its limbs like it didn't belong in this world. And ahead of me, my own body, motionless. I started seeing faces and reflections briefly, just behind mine. I emailed someone from Astral Army, a guy who called himself Oren. He told me to ground myself, burn sage, use black tourmaline, avoid mirrors at night, and most of all, stop projecting. But I never meant to. I wasn't trying. He told me that once you open the gate, even by accident, it marks you. It knows your frequency, like a scent trail. Weeks passed. Jess moved out. Said she couldn't handle the energy in the apartment anymore. She claimed her new place was brighter and lighter. Mine wasn't. I started blocking the hallway with salt lines, hanging iron nails above the bedroom door. Anything I could find from folk traditions. And for a while it worked. Until last week. I fell asleep with the lights on. I dreamed of my room. I was on the ceiling, staring down at myself again. But this time, my reflection in the mirror looked up, and it blinked. I don't know what I brought back with me that night, or what part of me never came back at all. But some nights, I still wake up floating, still outside my body. And when I try to return, something else is already there, smiling from the inside out. I used to laugh at people who claimed they were haunted by ghosts, sleep paralysis, or by things they couldn't explain. I thought it was all just dreams and tricks of the brain until it started happening to me. It began subtly. For 3 nights in a row, I woke up at exactly 3:33 a.m. Not 3:30, not 3:34. Always 3:33 down to the second. My eyes would shoot open with my heart pounding. I'd sit upright in bed, drenched in sweat. But it wasn't just the time that got to me. It was the feeling. Something was off. At first, I thought it was anxiety, work stress, or maybe my internal clock just got weird. But then came the dreams. Each night, I saw the same thing. A tall figure at the foot of my bed, motionless. Its face cloaked in shadow. No eyes, no mouth. Just the vague shape of a person standing far too still. And every time I'd try to scream, but nothing came out. Like my throat was cemented shut. And in those dreams, or whatever they were, I could feel my heart beating not inside me, but somewhere else. It felt like it had moved outside my chest, echoing through the floor. A heavy, rhythmic pulse. I'd wake gasping with sheets stuck to my skin with sweat. The room silent except for the ticking of the wall clock counting down to 3:33. After a week, I started hearing the sound while awake. Late at night, lying in the dark, I'd hear footsteps, moving beside my bed. Not across the floor, but through it. Like someone pacing just below the surface. I tried to explain it to my friends. Most brushed it off. One of them said sleep deprivation, and another said stress hallucinations. But one of my friends, named Jordan, took it seriously. He said I might be dealing with something spiritual or something old. He brought over sage. We did cleansing, opened the windows, lit candles, and even read prayers he found online. Still, that night, I woke at 3:33 and saw the figure. Only this time, it was closer. It stood not at the foot of the bed, but beside it, inches from my face. I couldn't move nor scream. Its chest rose and fell like it was breathing with me, matching the rhythm. Then, it leaned down. The next day, Jordan told me to try recording myself at night. It sounded ridiculous, but I was desperate. I set up a voice recorder on my nightstand, right by my pillow, and made sure I hit the record before sleeping. What I heard the next morning made my blood go cold. At 3:33 on the recording, there was total silence. Then a deep thumping, not from the room, but directly under the mic, like something moving through me. A low pulse. Then, a whisper.
Let me out.
I played it again and slowed it down. It wasn't my voice because it was deeper, raspy, and ancient, and it didn't sound like a request. It sounded like a threat. That day, I didn't go home. I drove around for hours, sat in a diner with fluorescent lights and stale coffee, anything to stay awake. But eventually, I had to go back. I didn't sleep that night, but I listened. And that's when I realized something even worse. The voice didn't just speak once. It whispered on other nights too. That thing, it wasn't haunting my apartment. It was inside me. I moved out 2 weeks later to a new place and new city. I didn't tell the landlord why I left. For a while, things got better. No dreams, no waking at 3:33, until one night. I came home from work, tired, threw my bag on the floor, and noticed something. A cassette tape was sitting on my bed, still in plastic wrap. I hadn't bought it. No one else had keys. I hadn't seen a cassette in years. But I knew what it was. I picked it up, and the second I touched it, I heard that sound again. That faint, heavy thump. My heartbeat staggered. The lights flickered. I never played it, but I kept it. I don't know why. Maybe part of me knew that whatever this thing is, it's not finished. Now I live in a third-floor walk-up with no mirrors, no electronics near the bed, and no clocks that display seconds. Still, sometimes I wake in the dark, feeling the room pulse, like it's breathing. Sometimes I wake and I'm paralyzed again. I can't move or breathe. I don't tell people anymore. They wouldn't believe me. But I know what I felt, what I still feel. Because now, it's not just about waking up at 3:33. Now I'm afraid to fall asleep at all. Because whatever that thing is, it found a way in. And it's waiting for something. I don't know when or how. My own reflection used to be a comfort. Brushing my teeth, adjusting my tie, wiping the steam off after a hot shower, I never thought twice about the guy looking back at me. Until one night it whispered. I remember it vividly. I'd just come back from a night shift. My job had me working erratic hours, sometimes overnight. The apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels thick. I dropped my bag, headed to the bathroom to rinse the exhaustion off my face. I rubbed my eyes in front of the mirror, just trying to shake off the haze. And that's when I blinked. Twice. But my reflection didn't blink back. I froze. My hands are still hovering near my eyes, and my heart begins to beat just a little faster. For a split second, I thought I imagined it. Maybe I was just overtired. But then, as I stared, it smiled. Just a flicker. The corners of the mouth curled upward, not in unison with mine, like it was deciding whether to mimic me or not. I stumbled back, bumping into the towel rack. I flicked the lights off and shut the door fast behind me. I told myself it was exhaustion, or maybe hallucinations from sleep deprivation. I didn't believe in ghosts or the supernatural. I had a rough work schedule, and life hadn't been kind lately. But that wasn't the end. It only got worse. The mirror started watching me. Over the next week, I started noticing things, subtle but enough to feel wrong. Every time I brushed my teeth, I felt like I was being studied. Not just watched, but analyzed. The reflection didn't always match perfectly anymore. Once I raised my left hand and it lagged. Another time I leaned in close, inspecting a razor cut, and my reflection tilted its head, just a bit too much, like it was curious and inspecting me. I started testing it. Moving suddenly, yawning, turning my head to one side. The mirror always followed, but sometimes it was just a hair too late. And the eyes, that's what really got me. The eyes lingered longer than they should. Not blankly, but like they were thinking. Then came the pushing. It happened one night when I woke up gasping, my face pressed hard against the bathroom mirror. I had no idea how I got there. I hadn't been sleepwalking since I was a kid. Yet here I was, my cheek flattened to the cold glass, breath fogging a space barely the size of a palm. There were no bruises, no cuts, but my neck ached. My skin felt tight, like it had been forced forward by invisible hands. My reflection stared back, pupils blown wide, lips parted just slightly. A copy of my horror, not a mirror of it. I tried to convince myself it was just sleep paralysis. Maybe I had gotten up, disoriented, confused where I was. But it kept happening. Night after night. I'd wake with my nose nearly touching the mirror, forehead damp with sweat, fingers pressed against the sink. Each time and no memory of getting there. I tried to avoid mirrors. I covered them, every single one in the house. Bathroom, bedroom, hallway, taped up with old sheets, towels, even aluminum foil. But it didn't matter. Reflections still found me. It started with puddles, small glints in standing water that caught my eye, and in them, I'd see the same thing. A me that wasn't quite me. Then broken glass. A cracked tile in the bathroom caught my toe one morning, and as I bent to look, I saw a half smile reflected back. Only I wasn't smiling. Even the dark screen of the turned-off TV began to haunt me. I'd catch movement, tiny flinches of reflection when I passed by, a flutter of a hand I hadn't raised. Last night was the worst. I woke up in bed, drenched in sweat. The door to my closet creaked open, no wind, but for no reason my heart pounded. But I tried to convince myself it was nothing. But something pulled me toward the mirror. The one in the hallway I'd long since covered up, but now uncovered. The sheet was on the floor. I don't know why I walked toward it. Maybe some part of me had to see. Maybe the thing had already taken enough of me that I didn't get a choice. I stood there, my eyes locked with my reflection. And then it moved, not mimicking me. This time, it was not delayed, just different. Its head tilted right as mine tilted left. It raised its hand, pressed his palm flat against the other side of the glass. And behind me, in the reflection, stood another figure.
Turn around.
There was no one in the room, only the reflection. A shadow behind my shoulder, featureless, dark, with the vaguest outline of a smile. And just before I could scream, the glass shuddered. Like it was breathing, like something inside wanted out. I think it's taken me. Because this morning, I woke up and everything felt off. My movements are stiff, like they're being replicated. I look in the mirror now, and for the first time, I can't tell who's mimicking who. I smile, and it smiles, perfectly synchronized. Too perfect. I touch my cheek, and it touches the same. No delay, no twitch. I watch my body, but it feels like watching someone else inside it. I don't know how long I've got, but if this uploads, if you're hearing this, be careful with mirrors, because sometimes they're not just showing your reflection, they're recording and learning it. And before you know, they stop copying and start replacing. So if you ever wake at 3:33 a.m. with someone breathing over your shoulder, or your reflection doesn't blink when you do, or you dream of walking through your own home while your body lies asleep, know this: something might be awake while you're not, and whatever took over, it might still be wearing you.